can't, you hung up a perfect transition that you don't even know. It's
Okay.
just too funny for me to make some kind of self-deprecating Italian South Philly joke. I didn't get it from the movie, but it was in the movie. So in a Bronx Tale, right? You see the Bronx Tale, right?
Of
Remember?
course, I mean, I'm
Okay.
offended that
Yeah.
you asked me that
I
question.
know,
That's
I
not.
know, I know. Right. So you remember in the Bronx Tale where they have talk about that. You'll get it when you're older. You'll understand like that was a
Yes.
theme right at the end, these at the funeral, right?
I actually met Chaz Palminteri
Did
outside of
you?
Sonny's Cheesesteaks on like Second and Market.
No way. Did he give you the
Yes.
three or
Yeah,
the three?
Sonny had 5 fingers, but he only used three.
Exactly.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Can you look in the camera and say like, comment, and subscribe?
Like, comment.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So to my grandson's channel. Say like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
You heard it. Okay, so today we have my friend Frank Piccolo. We met randomly playing basketball together. Turns out that we have a lot of friends in common, and some of my family members are friends with you from South Philly. I'll let you talk a little bit more about your background in a second, but thank you for doing this. Before we get started, can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Sure. Frank Piccolo. I guess you pointed out one of my most important roles as commissioner of Monday Night Pickup Basketball. I take a lot of pride in that role, but from that, I'm a husband to an incredible wife, father, organizational development consultant, and I'm a co-founder of RFP Strategic Partners. My brother and I started 5 years ago or so, but in reality, I'm in transition from my last role at Talogy, where I was an OD consultant, organizational development, to finding, my next fulfilling gig. If you're, I guess, probably part of the 98% of people who have no idea what an OD or organizational development consultant is, I am essentially like a strategic advisor. I help companies with their people problems is the best way I could think of it. I mean, I feel like my niche is really in small to mid-sized companies, but as companies start to grow and they start to not have formal onboarding processes, not have formal training, leadership development, or even in situations where a new leader comes in and they don't get along with the people they work with, they say, help me figure this out. So it may be a coaching intervention, it may be a team effectiveness kind of thing, maybe scaling out a succession planning or leadership development program. So anyway, if you're not familiar, it's a part of HR. It's not, your world per se, but it's a different part of HR, I guess.
All right, thank you very much. There's a lot to unpack there. I feel like we could talk a little bit about your history, but what got you interested in this field?
I took a very nonlinear career path, as I'm sure you've heard a few times from people. I actually went back to school when I was 30, like went to high school, went to 2 semesters in Florida for college, came back and went right to work. In fact, in that time, I started my own business for like 7 years, security company, basically hiring bouncers and people that work the doors and security events and stuff like that. This whole time, the thing I always think of, my brother, who's an academic, well accomplished, 12 years older than me, professor, was always like, you got to go back to school. You got to get your degree. And at the time, my thought and process and mindset was like, I think we're different. Right? For me, work is just, I work to live. I don't live to work kind of thing. Over time, I just came to realize that's not true. I had a different mindset. I went back to school, graduated when I was 30. And at that time, it was a lot different experience. I loved it, loved the classes. Once I finished school, I found a company I was looking. So I was in that situation where we were open, looking for a role. I knew I wanted something that could apply psychology, something around the people aspects. And I found this company called Caliper, which is the personality assessment in Princeton, New Jersey. And I mean, I loved it from day one, just absolutely loved it. It was the first time I had the experience of like, you can love your job. You can love going to work. It was just crazy to me. And it totally messed me up since. But, I loved the first part of that job was like getting on the phone and dissecting personality profiles and telling hiring managers why they should or should not hire someone. And so anyway, I grew through that in different roles, went back, got my master's in organizational development. And, I didn't know, I wasn't looking. You never really know when you're younger and not in the workforce, like what you could do with skills you have. I knew that I was pretty good with people, and I knew there was some way I could apply. I just didn't know how. And so on the world of OD.
Okay. So it's also quickly, and I'm not sure if you're hitting your desk, but
I'm
the
sorry.
camera's shaking a little bit when you're.
My Italian, I can't. So,
Yeah,
I gotta try to temper
I
the
get.
hands. It's like, don't edit that out, by the way. I'll
I
try.
will. So now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I know. So have you always wanted to be an entrepreneur? Because it sounds like you've
No,
gone. No.
and
Okay.
I still don't. For the
Okay.
record, I still don't. So I kind of fell into that. Okay, so I'm working. Let me go back. I'm working at a part-time job, first bar back. Then I'm working security. And at the time, what had happened, I noticed that at the end of the night, managers of the restaurant, bar, or place I was working would come find me. Like, hey, Frank, can you hand out the money? Can you get the schedule? And so there were great people working security, but no one to like manage them or just be a conduit, right? So that's how I started. And next thing I know, it's like, do you want to run security for this place? Like, what does that mean? Pushing 5'9", working out, but like these guys, they're like, just manage the schedule and do the money. I'm like, yeah, sure. So it turned into like 11 places at one time that I was running security with all these guys. It still wasn't a business formally. I don't know if you remember the Real World, the MTV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were in town in Philly doing
I
their
remember that. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, so the producer, this guy Ted, was out before they started filming and all, and meet Frank. He runs the door. Okay, guys in and all that stuff. And they were like, "What? You run the security? Do you have a business? Because we need security for." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Got a business." So they
I
came up
love
with the
that.
name, the whole thing. And so then got home and I called my brother. I'm like, "What do I do? Like, how do I start a business?" Right. So I like, this is a good opportunity. So that's why I started the security company. That was not the plan. I had
Okay.
absolutely no idea at the time what I was doing. It was, I guess, a good learning experience. Got out of that. I know it looks like I'm going back to, we started our own thing. We had opportunities, clients that I had worked with, my brother worked with that wanted us to do other work. And so it made the most sense, why don't we officially start our own boutique consulting firm, do projects on the side that don't conflict with what we're doing. And so that's what we did. Now he's a tenured professor. Now he's the CEO of a semiconductor organization in Florida. So I don't think his plan anytime soon is to put that aside to start this consulting gig. And mine is neither. I'm really looking for what I had at Caliper, which was a company that I just loved the people, loved what I did. Looking for that right fit, honestly.
Okay. So now imagine you said 98% of the people listening probably don't know what this is. Yeah, I was going to say, I normally ask, like, imagine you're talking to someone who has no idea what your field is. Can you talk a little bit about, it doesn't have to be operationally day to day. If you want to, you can, but strategically, what are some things that you would be looking at? Or what are the things that I guess that you said brought you joy in your previous role that made you so happy to go there?
Yeah, and even the work that I do now with consulting
Sure,
job,
sure.
it's coming in and solving people problems. And again, so it's when a leader who can't figure out how to work with people or how to get a team to work together or how to get a certain employee who he knows could be doing better to perform at their highest level. Things around that, which is really anyone that studies psychology or anything in that world really enjoys behavior, like observing people, why people do what they do. Behavioral economics was really interesting to me. Any of those situations where I can go in, observe, and that's sort of what a lot of it looks like as a consultant. You want to go in and diagnose first. Sometimes clients will come to you with what they tell you that they need, that they think is the problem. You have to figure out like, no, that's not really the problem. So the day to day really looks like if starting an engagement, diagnosing that, figuring out what the situation is, and if it's team workshop, we do things like where I'll work with the team and then individually coach each of the leaders on the team, which is always fascinating, right? Like you're finding out all the stuff. I think of my job as part psychologist for organizations, really, like the Esther Perel of the business world. She does it with companies now, but
So that's kind of the problem solving side of things, or the reactive side of things. Is there also a proactive side, like learning and development? Is there another side of it, like
From
where?
like an organization standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Am I, and by the way, am I still bouncing or is my
No,
test?
no, no. You're good.
All right,
You're
I figured
good.
that out. It's really hard, but I'm like trying to. Okay, no, but yeah, for sure. There's situations where, like you said, proactively, a company they know they need to develop their leaders, or they're getting to a certain size. As companies grow, the first part of HR is like the legal side, the client side, the benefit, like all that stuff, the payroll. And then as you start to get a little bigger, it's like, all right, let's formally have a leadership program, or let's figure out who the next people in charge are going to be, and let's train our people. So absolutely, we come in and build systems. And or if I was doing it internally for an organization, learning and development, right? I forgot to mention I'm one of the other roles besides commissioner of the league and all this other stuff I do here is I'm teaching classes at LaSalle on
Okay.
organizational behavior. So I say that because there's a thread of I enjoy teaching. There's an educator element in my blood somewhere, right? So I love that aspect of it. So learning, development, coaching, planning, all that stuff has that running through for sure.
That's great. So let's look at the namesake of the show, If I Knew Then. Now, this could either be, would you have approached things differently earlier in your career, or do you have advice for people looking to follow in your footsteps or looking to do something similar? So I'm curious.
Well, I had a week, which probably was not a great thing to think about this is. And that was a problem because the list just kept growing and growing. I was like, oh, I remember that. And I think the list is more for myself, honestly, because as I thought of all these things, I'm like, I'm talking. I think I'm talking to myself here, but it could be helpful for someone early in their career as well. First, the list, and everyone thinks they are self-aware, but self-awareness is really important. I learned that at Caliper. I'm a people person. I'm into studying, and I always thought I knew myself. But when I have actually had to take an assessment and get numbers to 23 different traits and cognitive ability, and know, I have a score here of 97 in this, 24 in that. You really start thinking about how you're interacting, what's driving your behavior, what's motivating you, and it's constantly going through my head. So I think self-awareness is critical, and so figuring out, I think the best way, honestly, is listening to other people that are around you, getting feedback on what you do well, what you don't do well, all that good stuff. So that's first
Got
and
it.
foremost. One of the other things I kept thinking about is going back to my initial mindset of like working to live versus living to work. I always notice. So I'm going to throw this on you real quick. What do you like your job?
Yeah, I'm curious where we're going with this, but I do
You
like
have
what
to
I
wait and
do.
see.
I think
Okay.
so. To build on it. So I do like what I do. I do try to find a balance, right? There's a mix of, I don't want to define myself by my career, but I do like the role that I'm in. I feel like I can make a big impact on the people. I always say within international benefit, or maybe just within HR as a whole, but we are turning the mission inward. So we're supporting the
Right.
people who
Like,
support our customers and support the rest of the world. So that's, like, to me, it's meaningful, the work that I do.
great. That's a great answer. And it's an example of the that's one type of response versus when you hear, when I ask friends or just talk to people, and it's like, oh, it's a great job. I get the weekends off. I get, my boss is cool. He lets me do this. I have time to get great benefits and the money, good, all that stuff. Of course, it's important. Obviously, I'll tell you, as someone who is looking for a job, trust me, I get it's obviously first and foremost. But when it comes to loving your work, if you're not thinking of it in that terms, like making an impact, enjoying what you do, liking, loving the people really you work with, you're missing. There's a whole other avenue. There's a whole thing over here that you can get, right? It doesn't have to just be about, I just go to work and get done. And like even the idea of can't wait till Friday, right? When I was, again, the first 6, 7 years at Caliper, me and my wife used to make fun of me because Sunday nights will be a struggle for me. Not because like it is for some people, it's like I got to go back to work. I'm like, I can't wait. I'm like excited. I got all this stuff going on tomorrow. She's like, what? She's like, what are you talking? Like, I can't sleep, babe. Like, I got this. Like, you're so weird. Like, I know. So it's making impact, having those things, like being aligned with your personality. It's an option, and you work too much to just like I got to get through this week to Friday. I mean, not every moment's perfect anyway. So I kind of figured that's your responsibility. Thankfully, otherwise
Okay.
that would have been interesting if not.
Yeah, if I was like, no, I hate my
I'm
job.
like,
I just
yeah,
look for it.
yeah,
It's
or
a means
yeah,
to an end. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So some other things. I got to cut this because I can't give you all these. We'll be here all
No,
day. So let
please.
me think.
I love this. I love that you put so much thought into this.
Let's see. So one of your other guests said this. I forget who, but relax. Right. If you're young and especially earlier in the career, relax in the sense of like don't sweat the small stuff. Right. However, you have to be very clear of like, don't relax, like don't do something. Like you need to grind your face off and work. Just me again, this is where you knowing yourself is important. Me personally, I stressed about stuff that was just like, it's not a big deal, right? It's not going to matter. Even right now, like I'm in the thick of a job search and it's a struggle, right? And, I have some tough days, a lot of tears some days, whatever. But like, I know it's all good. I got to just keep reminding myself, it's just a little part, and in 6 months, in a year, I'm going to be crushing it. Like I know that. And so when you're 20, 21, and don't even have major responsibilities yet, that presentation that you're sweating or like the get fire, whatever happens, it's all good. So just don't relax and like, I don't have to do anything, all good. Get out and work and try new things. And I guess I would tie into the other thing of you have to get out and try stuff, right? I'm telling my students all the time who like, I don't know what I want to do. A lot of them are either juniors or seniors and they're not really sure. I thought I wanted, I'm like, you're undergraduate. Of course you don't know what you're gonna do. You're gonna switch probably 10 times, right? You have to just get out in the workforce, try different roles, see what sticks, get an idea of things.
Yeah. I love that. I think it's hard. It's always me. I can only speak for myself here. When I was younger, I used to hate when people older than me used to tell me, like, you'll see when you get older. And I used to say, that's such a cop out. I hate it. And I don't think it's necessarily age, but age definitely helps with wisdom. But the hindsight, and kind of one of the things I'm learning here is it's so hard to see out of the situation you're in until you're out of it, whether or not
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
always time. So age does play a part in that. But what you talked about, not sweating the small stuff, there are things that I looked at that were the biggest deal in the world at the time. And
Exactly.
5 years, 10 years, 15 years later, you're like, that didn't matter. But I agree with you. It's not to say it's the same thing. There's a couple of things. One, I agree with you with the job thing. I think that it's okay to be both, but you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into one or the other. Like there are
What do you
people
mean?
in the world who they are comfortable. They know exactly that this is my job to get me through the day. And all I look at it as an income and I'm happy with that. But if you're not, or there's other people who just absolutely love everything that they do. And it's okay to be both, but both do exist. So if you're unfulfilled with
Absolutely.
one, yeah. So
And
I
and
totally agree with you.
and there are going to be times like I know I'm going to be going into a phase where it's not going to be all rainbows and unicorns. Like I need to work and I may be doing something for a little while. I'm just saying it exists, right? And
Yes,
if you
exactly.
haven't
Exactly.
tried other things, it does exist. I did not realize or appreciate that for a while. And so again, I don't caveat it because I put a caveat with it because I don't want it to sound like, oh, just follow your passion or I can just do what I
Yeah.
love. Or it's like, no, it's not worth saying. Just finding something that you can enjoy work. It doesn't have to be only,
Yeah.
you get the
Yeah. I
gist.
think one of the cool things about this is hearing there's so many different paths to get to where people are. And unless you're talking to people about it, you don't necessarily know exactly what that is or how they got there. And assumptions tend to be like, oh, they must have done X, Y, and Z to get there. I'm clearly doing something wrong. But it's, again, don't sweat the small stuff. Focus on you, work hard.
You hung up a perfect transition that you don't even know. It's
Okay.
just too funny for me to not go in for not to make some kind of self-deprecating Italian South Philly joke kind of thing
Okay.
tied in, right? Because one of the things I had on the list was kind of I, I didn't get it from the movie, but it was in the movie. So in a Bronx Tale, right? Did you see the Bronx Tale? Right?
Of
Remember?
course. I mean, I'm
Okay.
offended that
Yeah.
you asked me that
I
question.
know,
That's
I
not,
know, I know. Right. So you remember in a Bronx Tale where they have talk about that. You'll get it when you're older. You'll understand Like that was a
Yes.
theme right at the end, these at the funeral, right? And so that wasn't the thing on my list. That was your additive. So nice job. What I took for that movie, the other quote, which I guess there was more wisdom in the movie than I realized, but nobody cares, right? That's what he says over and over. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And I think what I mean by that is like you're again going back to stressing out. You think everyone is consumed or worried about look or you, and nobody cares. Nobody
Yeah. Yeah.
cares, right? Like your hair's messed up, or you look funny, or your shoes, or you're wearing two different socks. Like nobody cares. Nobody even notices, right? Like everyone's consumed with their own stuff. And again, this is more of a reminder to me. I think than anyone. Now, again, I go back to self awareness. Some people who they don't need that advice because they don't worry about that anyway, right? They're have that more confidence or whatever. But if it is something you stress about, nobody really cares. There's a actual term for it, spotlight effect. Nobody is focused on you as much as you are, so it's all good. It's all good. Take a breath.
I love that. I actually met Chaz Palminteri
Did
outside of
you?
Sonny's Cheesesteaks on like Second and Market.
No way. Did he give you the
Yes.
three or the
Yeah,
the three?
Sonny had 5 fingers, but he only used 3.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
That's
met
great.
he didn't he was a really nice guy. I'm sure he didn't care at all. He's probably heard so many. Yeah.
We
I
should
know him
reach
so
out.
well. I'll get him
We'll get a
on.
little clip of this. Hit him up on Twitter. You never know.
I said at the time, I'm like, what are the odds that I meet you outside of a place called Sonny's? And he's like,
Yeah,
just
that's
just take
amazing.
the picture.
I just think
He's a nice guy though. It's a great picture.
It's great. That's funny.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the best quotes of all time is from that movie. Now you just can't leave. I absolutely love that.
Absolutely.
All right, so thank you. That was great. I love those if I know thens. I think it's great advice too. It's applicable literally across everything. I mean, across any field too. All of those things are. It's all about approach. It's not about career specific. So I think that's great. What's next for you?
Finding the right spot, finding a place with great people, good fit for my skills, and rocking out. So if anyone knows of anyone or even has a connection, look, I love people. I love to connect with people. There are many that I don't get along with or can't connect with. So I would love to chat with anyone, but that's next. I'm excited for whatever's next.
What's next?
I don't know yet,
Awesome.
but maybe I could be your first repeat guest and come back when I,
Okay,
whatever.
great.
Throwing it
Yeah,
out
I'd
there.
love
We'll
to
see.
hear where you land. Yeah.
We'll see how the feedback is from your audience. They may be
Okay.
get that guy
Awesome.
in.
Yes. I wish you the best of luck in your journey looking for your next role. I think any organization would be lucky to have you. I appreciate you doing this. Before we close, any final thoughts or anything you want to plug?
I appreciate the opportunity. This is good stuff. I've probably plugged enough. So I appreciate it. This is fun.
All right. Thanks a lot, Frank. I'll see you on the court soon.
All right, buddy. Can't
All right.
wait.
See you. Bye.